You will expect to find a trace table in the exam on a paper 2 paper. This one's from 2019. So a pseudocode algorithm that manipulates sales figures is shown. We have some information: set num, which we can presume to number, set num to 0, set x to 999, set y to 0. And then we have part of the algorithm. So for each num from salesfile.txt, do, so we'll be given some numbers. If number or num is less than x, then set x to whatever that number is. If num is greater than y, then set y to num, and for each. So then it loops around and repeats the next number from this text file. At the end, we then send x and y, the values of x and y, with a space in the middle, to display. So that's the same as printing them. So let's look at the next slide. They then give you a table like this to fill in. Here are the first 4 numbers from the text file that they want you to use: 355, 554, 199 and 409. So the easiest way to complete a trace table is just slowly build up and use the information as you progress through. So it's handy to have the question and the trace table together side by side so you can see the information that you're referring back to. So that's what this is. And what we've got here is the first 4 numbers, as I've already said. So we're going to look at 355. So let's remember 35 for a moment, but let's go into the algorithm. Set number to 0. So what you can do with number is you can just put a 0 in there. We've set number to 0. Set x to 999. That's this bit of code here. Just underline here. We're setting x to 999. So 9, 9, 9, and we're setting y to 0. So that's the first bit of code written, and we then move on to the next section. So for each number from salesfile.txt, so we're using 355 as our first number. So if 355 is less than x, is 355 less than x? So the number is 355. Is 355 less than x? Then it is. Then set x to number. So I can put 355 in here because 355 is less than 999. If number, so is 355 greater than y, then set y to number. Now 355 is greater than 0, so I can set 355 in here as my new value for y. And then we loop round again. So we've done 355, cross that out. We're now looking at 554. So we can put 554 in as the new number. 554. Is 554 less than x? Well, it's not. So we can leave 355 in here. Is 554 greater than y? Well, it is. So I can change this to 554. And that's that one done. I can then look at the next number because we've now looped round here. We now look at the next number of 199 and we set the number to 199 and we do exactly the same. So is number less than x? Well, it is. So I can set my x value to 199. Is 199 greater than y? Well, it's not, so I can leave that blank. And again, we loop round to our next value. So I'll just cross through 199. We're now looking at 409. So again, 409 can go in. And if number is less than x, well, it's not less than 199, so I can leave that. Set that to that. If number is greater than y, so 409 is not greater than y, so that's fine. I can just loop around and I've gone through my whole list of numbers. And as we've gone through the list and completed that for each number, we've done that, we can then move to the next bit of the algorithm, which is here. We need to send X and space and Y to display. So in the display, we can send X, which is 199, 199. We can leave a space, and Y being 554, 554. And that then is the end of the algorithm. Now this is a 6-mark question. You'll get 1 mark for identifying or initializing the variables, putting this first row in, that'll be 1 mark. There'll be 1 mark when you change the data here, 1 for here, 1 for here, 1 for here, and 1 mark for having the final answer in the display. So in many ways, this is 6 very easy marks for you to achieve. Let's now look at another trace table. So this one is similar but slightly different. Again, it's a 6-mark question. And in the code, they're setting some values to start with, and set staff rates to this array, and then set good input to false. And then they're looking to validate the input. While good input equals false do, so this is going to happen because good input is already set to false. We'll go straight into this. Send, please enter number of staff on week -7 to display, and then receive current count from integer keyboard. Now this bit's important, receive the current count from integer keyboard. So this is what's being entered onto the keyboard. We'll find that out in a moment. So if current count is greater or equal to 200, then you do this. And I'm just going to move forward to the next slide, next part of the question, where you're asked to complete the trace table to show execution of lines 21 to 25 of the pseudocode for the 4th week before Christmas when the user enters the value 300. So if we go back a stage, we can look at the code that you've been given, which is here if you need to go back and have a look in more detail, but I'm just going to go forward and put it all together on one slide so we can see all the information together. Obviously, if this is an exam, you'll be able to see the written bit and the table together on the same page. So I'm hoping you'll be able to read this. Complete the trace table for lines 21 to 25. So this is the bit we're looking for. So we can go through and again build this up as we're writing through our work as we go. For I, where are we? For I from 0 to length week number -1. So we're looking at the current count, where we're setting the current count. And that came from the integer keyboard. Remember in the question, for the 4th week before Christmas when the user enters the value of 300. So that current count, receive current count from integer keyboard. So that current count is 300. So you're just looking for the information in here as to where to put it in here. All right, next section. For I from 0 to length week number -1. Now we know we're looking at the 4th week before Christmas. 4th week before Christmas. So set week number 2. 6 weeks before Christmas, 5 weeks before Christmas, 4th week before Christmas. So that's what we're looking for. And we're looking for I from 0 to length of week numbers -1. Now week numbers, the length of this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 items -1. But in an array, from length of week numbers to -1, we're here looking at the location of this item. So this in an array would be 0. I'll put a 0 there. This will be a 1, and this week here would be a 2. So if we iterate through that for I from 0 to length of weeks numbers -1, the actual answer here we're looking for is a 2. And then we need to fill in the length of week numbers. So what is the length of week numbers? And again, we can count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So length of week numbers would be a 6. The next bit we've got here is set percentage to staff rates at I divided by 100. So staff rates at I. So for week 4, remember, which is this one. So it's a third item in the array. 1, 2, so it's this one. So staff rates, set staff rates at I. So 115 divided by 100. So that will give us the answer of 115 divided by 100 is 1.15. So that's the answer that goes in there for percentage. So set need staff to current count times percentage. Needed staff to current count times percentage. So current count is 300. Multiplied by percentage. I think this is really tricky in an exam without a calculator. But 300 times 1.15 will be 3.45. 345. 345. And staff rates at I would be 115. So that's the information we have on that trace table. It is fairly tricky, it is difficult, and they give you a mark for each one of these that you get right. So 6 marks there. 6 marks to easily pick up when you understand what exactly they're actually asking for. Let's turn the pen off and go to the next slide. And here you can see where the marks are awarded. As we worked out before, 300, 2, 6, 1.15, 115 and 345. Moving on from that one, we have another trace table asking you to complete a trace table. So you see the same type of thing coming up every single year in the exam. You may not need to fill in all the rows. They give you the extra rows just if you want to use them. And again, when we move forward with the question from the trace table, we're given one about the Happy Pet Box Stock Company. And straight away we have some set sales to 55, 65, 40 and 45. So we can put some of that information, set lowest to 100, set count to 0. So we'll be able to put a 0 in, set box ID to 0. So you can see straight away that some of the information that's going to go in there. I'd like you to have a go at this one. See if you can complete that. Do have a go at it. Pause the video and see if you get maybe 5 out of 5 marks, or how many marks you can get for that. So the answer will appear in a moment, but pause the video first and see if you can complete that. So here are the answers. Here's our count being set as we go through and building up for our whole table. So hopefully you've got a better understanding of trace tables, because the likelihood is they will appear in the exam. This was from 2016. You've seen one from 2017 and one from 2019. There was no exam in 2020 because of COVID-19, but you can almost expect one in the 2021 paper.